Hey everybody, Ben Hodges here again. Congratulations on finishing a level 1 program. I'm very, very proud of you, and you should be proud of yourself for taking an investment in your drumming and working towards your goals. No, this wasn't easy, and there's probably some areas in these lessons that were a little challenging than some, but stay consistent. I'm glad you stayed consistent with it and you worked towards it and you worked through these exercises. So congratulations on that. Let's quickly review what was covered throughout this entire Level 1 series. We talked that the first lesson was about learning rhythm and counting, and we identified what a quarter note was, a 16th note was, an 8th note was, and we identified what the counting was and how to read music. That was an important skill that we learned to have, and that's going to help us for all the exercises that we are going to do from now on for the future. We learned a bit about rudiments as well. We played the doubles, we played singles, we played doubles, and we played paradiddles. And we worked on those with proper hand technique. That's something that you can do all the time. If you can't play the drums behind me and you can't play your drums at home, then you can play in rudiments. Play rudiments, and you can play rudiments anywhere without drumsticks and without any drums, which is awesome about that. Always a great thing to practice if you're ever in a pinch. We also learned about warm-ups and how we warm up our body and get itself prepared to learn. And that's a kind of essential part when it comes to drumming. We want our brain and our nerves to be awake and alive and maximize our learning for that. So that was great. We worked on our kick drum stuff as well. We worked on our bass drum. We worked on our hi-hat, and they're working together and keeping in time with that. We also worked proper foot technique. That was also something that we worked on. We also worked on how to build drum beats and grooves. And now you know how to build these drum beats and grooves. You can actually expand that knowledge and get creative. I want you to get creative as much as possible. See what kind of cool grooves you can make, whether fast grooves or slow grooves or even intricate and complicated grooves involving multiple drums. I want you to see what you can create. Wonderful ways to do that. So we learned the style of how we learn drum beats and how we play beats, and we can expand our knowledge with being creative there. And lastly, we learned a lot about drum fills and chops and getting a little snazzy and adding a bit of pizzazz to our drums. So what kind of drum fills exist and how we can play some good basic drum fills and add those to our library. Now you can get very creative as well, again, with drum fills. You can create some of these iconic drum fills that you might hear about in songs, but you can also create your own iconic drum fills that you can add to your own library in your head. So think of like your head as a library filled with exercises and filled with drum beats and grooves and whatever, and you can just kind of pick out ones that you need once in a while. So we learned all of these things, and that seemed like a lot of stuff that we learned, but now they're all going to get to work together, and you're now have a good foundation level of being a drummer. Let's also review the essential goals that we talked about in the introduction. We talked about some of the key goals that I think was important for you to demonstrate by the end of the Level 1 series after going through all these practice lessons for quite a while. We should be able to identify some basic drumming vocabulary. So hopefully you're able to do that. Some basic rhythmic activities while staying in time. Okay, can you count and demonstrate? Can you count while playing? Okay, 1, 2, 3, 4. So rhythmic activities and counting. Can you be able to merge those together? Can you play single stroke, double stroke, paradiddles with confidence and control? Can you be able to do that? Can you be able to begin learning independence with your feet and your hands? And to be honest, to build some independence between your hands and your feet, it does take quite a bit of repetition and practice. So continuing to do that. How to hold your drumsticks properly. And especially when we get to faster playing or longer playing, sometimes our technique in our hands and our feet will start to fade. And that comes with a bit of stamina. So practicing, always having and making a good routine of always having proper hand technique and foot technique is essential. Knowing how to make the drums fit your body and how to take care of your drums. Hopefully you've done a little background work towards that. And also the basics on how to make your drums sound good by tuning your drums. So if you haven't had a chance to try that, I highly recommend you practice that. So all of these essential goals that we just listed, all of these essential goals are something that I want you to be able to demonstrate at the end of this Level 1 series. Okay, so you finished everything. Now what? What do you do with it? Well, other than I would just say, keep practicing, keep playing, keep playing. I mean, that's something that's always going to be a routine for you, and I want it to be a routine for you. I want you to just make sure that you still stay familiar with a lot of the free resources that exist on my website. Things like how to hold the drumsticks and make sure you're practicing technique, posture on the drums, getting started on the drums, how to practice properly, okay, and learning what to practice, tuning your drums, experiment with tuning your drums, drum maintenance, and even setting goals. So all of these I want you to be very, very familiar with. Okay, it's important to learn some terminology about the drums. It really is important to learn all those things. As well, another thing that you can do is to set goals for yourself. So now that you've had a chance to go through all of these exercises, and now that you've learned exercises on what to do, now you can set goals for yourself and identify what are the things I want to get better at. Okay, specifically though, what specifically? Don't just say, I want to get better at drums. You have to say, what specifically do you want to get better at in drums? And then you can identify some strategies and some exercises and key things to do in order to get to those goals. So there's a great video on my website called Reaching Your Drumming Goals. And I want you to go and watch that so that you now know, now you have all these library exercises. Now it's about what do you do to get to the level that you want to get to. Okay. Continue obviously to practice some of the exercises that I give you and make it a part of routine of your practice. You can start the things you get really, really, really good at and almost it feels too easy to do. You can implement those as part of your warm-up part and instead of your challenging part of learning. But I want you to continuously, routinely engage yourself in these foundational exercises that you learned in the Level 1 series. Okay. Whenever you feel that you can confidently demonstrate all of the essential goals that we talked about in this Level 1 program, you will be ready for the Level 2 series. Okay. So the next series is Level 2, which it covers very similar things, but it's a big extension on top of the Level 1, and it gets into more difficult topics and difficult exercises. Whenever you feel like you can confidently complete all the essential goals from this Level 1 program, you will be ready for Level 2. Okay. Lastly, before I go, nothing is more important than sharing the joy of music and the joy of what you learned. So I want you to brag about what you learned, and I want you to tell others and teach others what you've learned in your drumming. And by allowing yourself and gaining that skill of being able to teach others and share that knowledge is actually going to be challenging yourself into making sure you truly understand what's going on. Do you truly understand enough about drumming that you can actually teach others about drumming? That's a whole nother level of confidence that is something to work towards. So I highly recommend that you use the skills you have and teach other people about some of the things that you learned. And maybe it's not to teach drums, but maybe about rhythmic activities or teach them about drums themselves. I want you to really encompass yourself and surround yourself with the environment of drumming, not just from being a learner, but also being a musician. Right? A musician shares their wealth of knowledge and shares their gift of the world and performs and plays. And I want you to be able to share your experience and things that you've learned with other people. I really, really do. So from the bottom of my heart, thank you very much for investing in your drumming, and thank you for choosing BH Drum Academy. And I will see you next time. Congratulations, drummer.